Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Part 2. Today we're going to restore the frame, touch her up, and get all the chrome nice and clean. We'll go ahead and begin the cleaning process. And I do get a lot of questions about what products I use to get the bikes cleaned up. And here's basically what I use. So starting with the rust remover, Evaporust seems to work great for me. You got to let this stuff soak overnight, or at least for a few hours. And you can remove rust on the derailleurs and all your bolts and nuts. This stuff right here, I discovered it, got this at one of the hardware stores, I think it was Home Depot. But this stuff is like a gel, and you can just brush it on, and after a few minutes or hours, it'll definitely take care of rust, like on a kickstand or on something where you can't soak it or dip it, so it's really nice. Then I use steel wool as well, and you can see there's all kinds of grades, starting with 0000 and on up to number 3. So depending on the coarseness you need, you can get the kind you need. I like the fine ones, to get the chrome really cleaned off. And then to get it shined up, there's I've tried everything, including this Mother's products. It's a metal polish that works great. This one also does nice. But my favorite is this right here. And I get all these on Amazon for various pricing. So you can get, and these are also available in the smaller tubes. So they're only like $10 for the small ones. This one's like $29. But again, depending on how much you use, I highly recommend that you try this, especially this one. That's my favorite one. And for the touch-up, I use various products. Starting out with primer. Primer is important if you find any spots like this. You can see there's a little bit of metal just exposed right underneath that clay primer that Schwinn used. So that's good to cover that before you paint it and then smooth it out. So I use that right there, that Rust-Oleum primer. The paint, I actually tried to get the exact match, and I found some of the colors. Again, this company used to be called High Performance, and they had most colors. This is the Cool Lemon that I used on my Paramount. And then this one right here is a white for another project that I have. And for this particular one, they don't have the Opaque Blue, so I'm going to have to create one. And I found a couple of colors that were pretty close. And I believe I'm going to go ahead and see between these two colors, and using a little bit of white, I feel pretty confident that I can get really close to that Opaque Blue. It's got a little bit more of a purplish tint to it, and these two are a little bit too greenish blue and a little too blue. But I think a combination of these two with white and some paint thinner, and I'll put it in this little container here to make enough to touch up the entire bike. And I use a series of different brushes, starting with these large foam ones. They're nice to smooth it out, and then all the different size artist brush there, and then these little applicators, I've used them before. Again, these are pinpoint precision, so I like them as well. So this company was rebranded as coolstuff.com. You can actually go to that website and find a lot of colors and some other miscellaneous items for Schwinn's. So it's pretty cool, and they ship it to you pretty quickly. I recently picked up a touch-up bottle, and here is the Sunset Orange. This is a really hard color to find, so I was glad that they had this. And I'll be able to touch up my Varsity. And again, that's the name of the company. And here's some of their services. And again, it's all geared towards the Stingrays, the crates. And here's some of the colors that they offer. You can see on the back here. So they have the Campus Green, Copper Tone, Flamboyant Lime, Cool Lemon, as well as Sky Blue, which is not the same as Opaque Blue. This is kind of a cool Schwinn color you saw on some of the Stingrays. And then really glad these guys are around to provide these colors. Alright, so I went ahead and pulled out the Loctite Rust Dissolver. This naval jelly definitely does the job. I just brushed on a little bit right here to get that threading nice and clean. And it does say to use gloves. If you get this stuff, read the warning label as well as the directions. I went ahead and used a little bit over here too. Put some on these areas that normally begin to get rust, so you can see I coated it with it. There was a little bit of metal exposed there. So once that rust gets removed, I'll go ahead and touch it up, make sure that those crevices look good. There's a few bare metal spots that I went ahead and put it on just to protect it, and I'm going to put a little bit of primer and then go ahead and touch her up. Again, besides making the bike look better, you want to protect the frame. It's got a little bit of damage on it, but it'll clean up, and it's pretty straight, so there's no dents or any bends, so it should clean up well. As you can see, most of these dings have the primer underneath already, so it's just a matter of touching it up. So if I can get that paint to blend, it should look pretty good. Okay, and here's the results on the fork. I just put this stuff on there for a couple hours, let it soak, and then I went ahead and just rinsed it off, and definitely got all the rust off of there. Same thing with these things. You took that rust right off of there. Now it's got the bare metals. I'll go ahead and use some primer on there first. Definitely save the frame from getting any rust there. These are coming out real nice, so those are definitely in great shape. And the paint shines up pretty nice. I'm still going to wax it. I just cleaned it really well with some degreaser. Alright, so I just went ahead and put some primer on any area that I saw any exposed metal. I want to make sure that it was primered. Now I'll go ahead and do the paint on it. And it doesn't look like much right now, but once I get that blue on it, it'll blend right in and it'll look much better. But again, all these little spots here had exposed metal, and I want to make sure that that was not showing. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Now make sure you do this with the door open, get some ventilation. You don't want to be breathing this stuff in. So I got the two blues, I got the white, and I got the paint thinner. So we're going to go ahead and mix it in here and then match it up against this, and then once we get ready to paint, we'll go back to that. So first thing we'll do is we'll put a little paint thinner in here, not too much, just enough to keep this paint from getting sticky and dry. So just a little. And then you just make sure that you shake all your cans accordingly. And then, alright, so I'll put it in there. I'm going to start out with white first to have a base. And I went ahead and put very little in here. So there's barely any paint thinner in there, just to give it again a little bit of a thinning so it'll last longer in the little container. So let's go ahead and start. Alright, next one is going to be the dark blue. And I'll test that first, see if that actually will do it. Because the white and the blue might make it just perfect, so we'll go ahead and try that. Definitely put enough in there to create the coat. It's getting pretty close, but it does need a tint of this blue a little bit. And then we'll see how it goes. Again, this is going to be all trial and error, and you can adjust it accordingly. So hopefully we'll get the color here. Alright guys, well, several tries later, we got a color that looks pretty good. So, we think this is a pretty good match. Pretty happy with that. I think that's going to be a very good replica, so I'll be able to touch all these things up. So we'll go over and get some little primer in there first. Again, I just used those three colors, kept playing with it until I got really close. So that's as good as it's going to get, so I'm pretty happy with that. So we'll go ahead and do the touch-up now. Okay, and indoors, the color seems to match as well. So I feel pretty good about it. So we're going to go ahead and begin the process. So we'll go ahead and do a little bit of primer on there, and we'll get going. And I already covered up that big scar. And then there's this one here. On this one, I'm using this little foam. Seems to be a perfect tool to just kind of smudge in a little bit of that paint in there. And then let that dry and possibly give it another coat. But as you can see, all of a sudden, these little blemishes just disappear. And this paint, I'm really happy how this blended. This is better than expected. So again, you just dab it a little bit, let it dry, and then go back over it because this primer might come through a little bit. And then what I'll do later is smooth it out with a very light steel wool just to smooth it down. But we'll let that dry. As you can see, that's the side that had all those big scars on it. Now on the bike's gonna look pretty amazing. Did the bottom right here too. Bottom was all crusty and chewed up, so it's looking good. Alright, we'll do this other side next, and then we'll move on to the frame. Here it is. So that's the effect I wanted to create. So no dings, no scratches, no metal showing, and this will dry even better. And again, I'll look at it once it dries, and I might go ahead and do that, you know, light steel wool, and then possibly give it a sealing satin clear coat to give it a nice factory look. But I'm pretty happy how it looks right now, so definitely better than those nasty scars that I had on it. So now we'll go ahead and do the frame. And we'll give this area here a nice thick coat because this was all bare metal. Alright, all the touch-up is complete. I'm pretty happy how it came out. All those dings and nicks are all gone now. And this is exactly what I was trying to achieve, was a frame that looked pristine. But yeah, I'm very happy how it came out. It looks like definitely much better than it did earlier. So that color match was a success. And again, it took about an hour to get it to the exact color. I played with it, added white, more of the greenish blue, added more of the dark blue, until finally I felt it was a color that could blend right in. And if you notice, you can't even see them anywhere. So very happy with how that came out. Looks like a brand new frame, and I got plenty of paint left, so tomorrow I'll look at it again, and any area that looks inconsistent, I'll give it another coat. Went ahead and put a little bit of that Loctite rust dissolver on the stem there. I also put some on the derailleur right there. That'll take off some of that surface rust. Put some on the crank. It was actually not too bad, but I could see that there was a little corrosion there, and this will help remove anything. So it should bring the chrome back. Got the chain soaking on some paint thinner, and then I'll also clean it with some chain cleaner as well. I got some evapor rust right here with some of the components, happy with that. So this is again the greasing, all this stuff right here. That derailleur might clean up nice, but I might consider replacing it. Alright guys, well you saw the products and you saw the process, and here's the results. So this one piece crank came out really nice. It's going to look great on the bike. That derailleur did clean up nice. Dual stick shifters. There's a lot of parts to this little piece here. Here's one all together, and you can see all the parts that go with it. So I'll be putting that together for you guys on part 3. There's the brakes. That one still has to be taken apart and cleaned. And again, we have a few parts that we're still going to clean. Going to overhaul the pedals. Already cleaned one of these. Front derailleur also came out really nice. And we're doing all new bearings on the bottom bracket and headset. And then what's really been helpful is this buffer. I just recently got this, and it definitely made this a lot easier, going through and buffing all these little parts. And half the time the handlebars turned out great, so we'll be putting that tape on it and getting this thing wrapped up. Just make sure that the frame is in order, and that in itself inspires me to go ahead and work on the rest of the bike. Well, I hope you guys are finding this helpful. I know I've had a lot of questions on what do I do to get my bikes to look new, and this is what I do. Stay tuned for part 3. We'll go ahead and assemble all the chrome, put it back on the bike, and get this bike on the road.